The very first thing the girl did after being reborn was break the curse on her family's greatest enemy. Even though he was known as a ruthless lunatic, once Mikhail regained his sight, he treated her as his savior. He even promised to do absolutely anything for her. In her past life, Lilte was dragged to the sacrificial altar by her own family, all because she hadn't awakened her water powers. It was all based on an ancient text that claimed sacrificing one twin could grant the other twin the complete power of water, and not a single person in the family tried to stop it. Even her twin brother just watched coldly as she was sent to her death. As the magic circle roared to life, Lilte's heart completely shattered. She had spent years trying so desperately to earn her family's love. But in the end, it was all for nothing. Suddenly, the spirit stone began to resonate. The head of the family gasped in shock. What's going on? And in the very next second, the spirit stone shattered into pieces. The ritual had failed. A young boy threw himself toward her in absolute despair. When she woke up again, Lilte thought it was all just a nightmare. She knew for a fact she had died. Yet here she was, sitting safe and sound in her own bedroom. Just then, her brother burst into the room. Lilte, how are you feeling? She stared in disbelief. Xianxia, what are you doing here? He walked right up to her and casually sat down on her bed. To check on you, obviously. But honestly, his eyes darkened with annoyance. Thanks to you, my entire schedule is ruined. Everything is a total mess now. It's so damn annoying. Lilte stared at this terribly familiar scene. 3 years ago, an assassin had tried to kill Xianxia. He had taken the poison to protect him, falling into a long coma, which was what ruined his precious schedule. Had she actually traveled back in time? Well, if that was the case. You find me annoying? Trust me, the feeling is mutual. Xianxia, don't you worry, I will never do something so completely useless ever again. Lian froze. This girl, who used to bend over backward to please him. What was wrong with her? Suddenly, someone else burst through the door. Lian, get out here. Father is calling for all the awakened ones. The spirit stone is glowing. Lian immediately jumped to his feet. Let's talk on the way. The messenger glanced at Lilte, his eyes dripping with disgust. In her past life, she had gotten so used to those looks. As the only one who hadn't awakened her water powers, she was the ultimate disgrace to the family. Yet, the moment she was sacrificed, the spirit stone had completely shattered. And right after, a strange, powerful energy had flooded directly into her body. Lilte held out her hand, focusing deeply on the energy pulsing within her. She guided it to her palm, and a burst of flawlessly pure water magic sprang to life. It worked. She had no idea if this power was a blessing or a curse. But this time around, she was going to throw the Heim family away for good. Deep in the forest, a carriage rolled along the path. Young master, how are your eyes feeling? The young man just smiled, acting as though he wasn't the one who had gone completely blind. I still can't see a thing. The Heim family is absolutely convinced that Bills ordered the assassination a few days ago. Do you really think they'll agree to break your curse? I have no idea, but only a fully awakened water user can break this curse of mine. So, we just have to try our luck. Suddenly, he sensed something approaching. HMPH. So one curse wasn't enough for them? I wonder what kind of trap they've set for me this time. Looks like I'll just have to return the favor, tenfold. And what if someone manages to break your curse? He raised his hand. Black energy surged from his palm. Then, naturally, I'll give them whatever they desire. Repay every kindness, and slaughter every enemy. That is the Bills family creed, after all. The head of the Heim family received him. Unaware of Mikhail's blindness, the patriarch only wondered why this ruthless killer had shown up at his door. Sensing the man's tension, Mikhail decided to playfully tease him. Why so tense? It's almost like you're terrified of me. The patriarch bristled with anger. Just tell me what you want. I've lost my sight, Mikhail replied. It's a curse that not even the saintess can break. Rumor has it that only a water awakener from the Heim family can lift it. So, I was hoping you could help me out. Realizing that Mikhail was at his mercy, the patriarch's attitude shifted instantly. Well, that puts us in a difficult position. Curse that powerful means whoever tries to break it could lose their own life. Rather than forcing someone to do it, why don't we give them the choice? Please give us a month, just to see if anyone steps up voluntarily to break your curse. An answer like that was basically a flat rejection, but as the beggar here, Mikhail had no choice but to back down. Understood. Then I'll eagerly await your good news. Mikhail had already anticipated this outcome. To be honest, he doubted anyone could even break his curse in the first place. They were shoved into an isolated guest house. The hosts were so insulting they didn't even bother sending a single servant. On their way, they'd heard that Duke Heim had summoned the Water Awakeners. Mikhail ordered his men to dig up some intel. Being blind didn't really affect his day-to-day life, but without his sight, he couldn't control or fine-tune his powers with precision. Plus, his condition could get even worse. Suddenly, he sensed someone outside the door. An intruder? He casually strolled toward the presence. You know, I really despise little rats sneaking around in the dark. Who are you? I'm not an assassin, and I'm definitely not some water awakener sent by Durkheim. He caught a faint, lingering fragrance. Stripped of his sight, Mikhail's remaining senses were incredibly sharp. Unlike that foul, fishy stench clinging to the Heims, this scent was utterly refreshing. This girl was nothing like the Heim family. Why are you looking for me? Mikhail Bills, I can help you with your curse. But if I break it, what's in it for me? Mikhail snapped out of his shock. For some reason, he had a gut feeling that this girl could actually cure him. Taking her hand in his, he made a vow. Anything, I'll give you absolutely anything your heart desires. His eyes were bound by a sevenfold curse. Yet, when he sought help from the Heim family, the only ones who could break it, they completely brushed him off, even mocking him to his face. As a result, it wasn't long before Mikhail waged a war that practically wiped the Heim family off the map. That was what happened in Leertai's previous life, before she was reborn and sent back 3 years into the past. It was the exact moment Mikhail had come seeking a cure for his eyes. Facing Leertai's demand, Mikhail gave her his word. I'll give you absolutely anything your heart desires. She asked to examine the curse first. Mikhail simply smiled and told her to go ahead. After all, you're the one saving my life. Why wouldn't I cooperate? She reached out. I'm taking off the ribbon now. The angle made it look like she was practically hugging him. Wow, this is tied on really tight. My guards were afraid it would slip, so they tied it pretty snug. He could have easily untied it himself. But for some reason, he didn't want to tell her that. Stripped of his sight, his remaining senses were running in overdrive. Her hands were so incredibly soft, and that faint, sweet scent kept teasing his senses. Mikhail's eyes were pitch black from the curse, with intricate magic circles etched right into his pupils. Leertai froze. This is dark magic. And unlike normal curses, it's made up of 7 layers of binding. As time passes, the curse is only going to get worse. Mikhail looked suspicious. How could you possibly know about this? Doesn't the Heim family completely despise ancient dark magic? Well, back before Leertai had even awakened her water powers, she had desperately craved her family's love, just to help her father and brothers. She used to pore over ancient forbidden books. She never expected that knowledge to actually come in handy right now. Anyway, we have to act fast. Otherwise, you're going to lose your sight permanently. She reached out her hand, slowly attempting to unravel the very first layer of the curse. The power within her surged forward. Even though it was her first time truly wielding the power of water, she could control the flow as easily as breathing. Mikhail felt an intense, overwhelming energy pouring into his body. Did the Heim family really have such a powerful awakened? Soon, the first seal was broken. He could feel the strain in his eyes easing up, though his vision still hadn't returned. Leertai softly explained, if I try to break the entire seal at once, it would put an unbearable strain on your body. So, I'll have to undo the rest over 7 separate sessions. Just as she turned to leave, Mikhail suddenly spoke up. I'll be waiting for you. Even though I don't even know your name yet. But, I'm really looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Leertai gave a small nod, then opened the door and slipped away. Only after she was long gone did Mikhail gently pick up the ribbon she left behind. For some reason, his throat suddenly felt incredibly dry. In her past life, the Heim family had lost most of their territory in the war, and the one who conquered it was none other than Mikhail himself. Backed into a desperate corner, the Heim family ultimately chose to sacrifice her, hoping her death would finally make Xianxia's powers complete. But the tragic irony? She was the true master of the Spirit Stone, not her younger brother. If the Heim family ever found out the truth, they would never, ever let her go. Under imperial law, nobles from awakened families are legally bound to live at home until they come of age. As long as she could keep her secret hidden until then, she could finally break free from this toxic family. Meanwhile, looking at Leertai's incredibly cold and distant eyes, Xianxia was spiraling into utter confusion. Whenever the girl's hand used to gently brush against his cheek, the boy's senses would always go into overdrive. It always felt like if he gave just a gentle pull, she would fall so softly right into his arms. Xianxia viewed his older sister as his own personal property. He was absolutely convinced that Leertai would never, ever leave his side. So when this once gentle and totally devoted girl suddenly started treating him with such icy disdain, he completely lost it. The after effects of the poison are completely gone. So why the hell is she still treating me like this? Xianxia tried to put on a caring face, claiming he was just so worried about her health. But Leertai instantly tore off his hypocritical mask. Oh, right. After all, you can't even use your powers properly without me around, can you? Those words hit Xianxia right where it hurt the most. He choked down his fury. What I meant was, you should go out for a walk during the day. It must be so suffocating just staying cooped up in this room. Anyway, that's all I came to say. But he didn't actually walk away. Instead, he just stood right outside her door, agonizing over why Leertai had changed so drastically. Ever since the incident with the assassin, it was like she had become a completely different person. She used to spend all her time just walking on eggshells and trying to please him. The spirit stone was glowing even brighter than it had yesterday. Ever since the early hours of the morning, the stone had been radiating a blinding light like the midday sun. And yet, he couldn't feel a single trace of connection to it. Lian couldn't help but wonder, did this spirit stone really change because of him? The second day of their agreement arrived, and Lilte showed up right on time. As soon as she walked in, Mikhail greeted her with a warm smile. Hi, the girl took off her hat. Good evening, Mikhail Bills. 99, the man grumbled in dissatisfaction. Calling me by my full name is so distant. Should I start calling you, young Master Bills, from now on? No, I'd rather you just use my first name. The girl fell silent for a brief moment, before agreeing to it. However, her tone remained as cold as ever. Mikhail honestly didn't expect her to agree. She accepted such a forward request surprisingly easily. Was she just calm, or incredibly smart? They quickly began the second phase of lifting the curse. Seeing Mikhail clench his fists, she gently placed her hand over his to comfort him. Trust me, I'm going to heal your eyes. As the girl's hand softly brushed against his cheek, Mikhail's senses were once again dialed up to the absolute limit. Her hand was so small, so incredibly soft. It felt like with just a gentle tug, she would fall effortlessly right into his arms. And here this tiny person was, actually trying to comfort him. Even though he wasn't worried in the slightest. The great and fearsome Bills, being comforted like this. Who on earth would believe it? For the very first time, he smiled at her with genuine warmth. Alright, I trust you. The second session of breaking the curse went off without a hitch. When she asked how he was feeling, Mikhail finally snapped out of his daze. He found himself absolutely amazed once again by the sheer power of her water magic. But it wasn't just the magic itself that fascinated him, it was Lilte. She carried an indescribable sense of mystery that completely captivated him. This time, Lilte didn't just leave right away. Instead, she sat down right next to him. That's a relief. I was so worried it might hurt you. She was actually worried about him? He was the infamous, notorious Bills. Yet, she treated him as gently as if he were a helpless little lamb. Ever since he lost his sight, Mikhail had never felt such a burning desire to actually look at someone. He was suddenly overwhelmed with curiosity. What kind of expression was on Lilte's face when she looked at him? He gently caught a lock of her beautiful hair. I swear, I will repay you for this. Once this curse on me is finally broken, will you tell me your real name? Lilte looked at him, confused. Shouldn't you have already investigated who I am by now? Because I want to hear it straight from you. I've never heard of a water awakener as incredibly powerful as you are. I figure you must have your own reasons for keeping it a secret. So, unless you decide to tell me yourself, I won't go digging into your past. Lilte smiled softly. I promise you, I'll tell you before your eyes are fully healed. While Mikhail was growing more and more curious about her, Lilte also found him to be a deeply fascinating person. Before she was reborn, she had only ever heard terrible rumors about him. But meeting him in person, she realized he was actually quite gentle. Could her rebirth have somehow affected Mikhail as well? Whatever the case, this was definitely a good thing for her. Lilte made her way to the library. There was a time when she used to come here all the time, just to hide from her blood relatives who absolutely despised non-awakeners. That was, until that incident happened. No, she couldn't think about that right now. She needed to hurry up and find books on water magic. The deeper the curse ran, the more complicated it was to break. Suddenly, she noticed someone standing right behind her. It was Hui Minheim. Lian had 3 older brothers, the eldest, Ain, the second, Tarian, and the third brother, Huimin. Since Huimin was the closest to her in age, they spent a lot of time playing together when they were little. But then one day, Huimin started secretly hoarding forbidden books behind her father's back. At first, she didn't think much of it. She was just purely curious, following Huimin to read those books. Later on, as she flipped through the pages, she was only trying to figure out how to help the family without having the power of water. But that secret didn't last long. Father caught them. Under the Duke's harsh interrogation, Huimin pinned all the blame entirely on her. He claimed all those ancient books were Lilte's, but she was so young back then. She had neither the money nor the power to collect such old texts. Even though Father knew this perfectly well, he still punished her ruthlessly. Lilte would have rather just taken a physical beating from him. But no, he deliberately used the power of water to punish her, leaving her deeply traumatized. Ever since then, she distanced herself from Huimin, even though he constantly tried to strike up a conversation. Just like right now, the man awkwardly fumbled with his words, asking if she was doing all right. Huimin, how do you even have the nerve to ask me that? Before her rebirth, the Forbidden Books incident had made her absolutely terrified of him. But now, she felt absolutely nothing. It turns out dying really does change a person this much. Huimin tried to say something else, but she sharply cut him off. I've always wanted to apologize to you for what happened when we were kids. I've honestly been so worried about you. No, you're only doing this for yourself. You just want to ease your own guilt. Just to make yourself feel a little bit better. After all, with a personality like yours, You absolutely cannot stand being the bad guy. Just like that day, when you played the perfect, obedient child in front of father, and threw all the dirty water right onto me. What's done is done. There's no need for your apologies anymore. I wouldn't accept them anyway. In a panic, Huimin grabbed her arm. But she violently yanked it away. Just go back to being the good little boy. You hypocrite. Meanwhile, over on Mikhail's side, his guard hadn't been able to complete the mission over the past few days. All he managed to find out was that the spirit stone had awakened. He figured that with the young master's usual temper, he'd demand a reinvestigation. But surprisingly, Mikhail cheerfully accepted the news this time. Good work. As for the spirit stone, I can just write a letter to father about it. The guard couldn't help but think that the curse hadn't just robbed his young master of his sight. It had robbed him of his mind, too. And yet, he looked genuinely happy. You seem to be in a really good mood, sir? Mikhail's voice was brimming with anticipation. I am. It's already been a whole day. She should be here soon. The guard immediately took the hint and realized it was time to leave. Sadly, despite waiting so happily for the girl, Mikhail didn't get the visitor he was hoping for. Instead, a group of assassins showed up. He tightly gripped his dagger. The Heim family would never be so brazen as to attack him openly. These men had to have been sent by whoever cursed his eyes. He could easily wipe them out with his powers, but that would definitely send Duke Heim into a massive rage. He had to take these guys out quietly. Who on earth was pulling their strings behind the scenes? The Heim estate's security wasn't something you could easily breach, yet these men had managed to sneak right in. Were they trying to drive a wedge between the Heim and Bill's families? Suddenly, the sound of the door opening echoed through the room. Mikhail, the girl's voice carried a hint of confusion. He leaned back and shoved the door shut again. Damn, your timing couldn't be worse. Sorry, but you're gonna have to wait outside for a second. I've got some trash to take out. But the moment the words left his mouth, he froze. Every single assassin was suddenly standing dead in their tracks, completely immobilized. It was Lilte. An overwhelming surge of water magic poured out of her. Mikhail's vision was finally restored, and he was instantly completely captivated by Lilte's breathtaking beauty. Flushing bright red, he quickly turned his head away, trying to hide how incredibly flustered he was. It was crazy to think that this seemingly fragile girl had just single-handedly wiped out an entire squad of assassins. She just gently raised her hand, and all the enemies were frozen in place. The girl worriedly asked Mikhail if he was hurt. Feeling a bit awkward, he pulled off his blindfold. I'm fine, but didn't I tell you to wait outside? Lilte poked her little head out. But I couldn't just stand by and watch you get hurt. She suddenly noticed something. Wait, you've got a cut on your face. Let me heal that for you once we're done here. Mikhail, still running on battle adrenaline, was in a state of intense excitement. The sudden physical contact, combined with her sweet, caring tone, made him feel like he was melting into a warm bath. He covered his face, his heart pounding like crazy. Not wanting to dirty her hands, Mikhail gently told her to step back and let him handle the rest. But suddenly, the assassins' bodies began to crumble apart. Right before their eyes, they dissolved into heaps of bones. Mikhail thought she was the one who did it, but she had only frozen them. There wasn't a single trace of magic lingering around the remains. Could it be a curse? Mikhail murmured, before turning to thank her. As for what exactly just happened, he'd have his guards look into it. Since the danger had passed, Lilte suggested they get back to breaking his curse. He nodded, and the two of them began a new round of healing. A few days flew by in a flash. Only 2 layers of the curse remained. For the first time, Lilte felt the strain. Breaking it was taking much longer than before. In truth, Mikhail's eyes could already make out blurry shapes and colors. Soon, Duke Heim would be hosting a hunting tournament, and he actually had the nerve to invite a blind man. The motive was obvious. Did they really think a quiet tiger is just a sick, helpless kitten? One day, he was going to crush the Heim family under his heel. As the 6th layer of the curse finally shattered, Mikhail's vision snapped into focus. The girl leaned in close. Mikhail, can you see me? And then, he saw a sight he would never forget for the rest of his life. Lilte's eyes. It was like looking into a sky full of stars. She was absolutely glowing in his eyes. Seeing his stunned expression, Lilte thought the healing hadn't worked, and leaned in even closer. How about now? She asked. Mikhail shyly covered his face. He even started to stutter. I can see you, very clearly. He had no idea his emotions would swing this wildly. Anyway, I'm just really happy that the very first person I see after breaking this curse is you. And, thank you, the House of Burst will never forget this favor. From now on, you are a benefactor to our entire family. Even though there's still one last layer of the curse left, I know you'll break it flawlessly in no time. Just like the promise I made to you when we first met. I will give you anything you desire. Tell me, what is it that you want? Lilte froze. She refused to repeat the tragic mistakes of her past life. It would be incredibly hard to pull off on her own, but with Mikhail's backing, it just might work. She formally introduced herself. I am of Duke Heim's family. My real name is Lilte Heim. And there is only one thing I want. I want to break free from the Heim family. Hearing that she wanted to escape her family, Mikhail wanted nothing more than to sweep her up and run away with her right then and there. Thrilled, he eagerly reintroduced himself. As you already know, I am the heir to the House of Burs. My father is Duke Burs, and... Mid-sentence, he noticed she was spacing out. Ah, I guess I've been doing all the talking, huh? Would you tell me a bit more about yourself? The girl snapped back to reality. My name is Lilte. I mean, is there anything you actually like or dislike? Maybe animals? Do you like birds, then? Truth is, she didn't even know what she liked. Growing up, she was never allowed to have any hobbies. She wasn't even sure what she disliked. How about this, then? Suddenly, a flock of snow-white birds appeared, fluttering all around Mikhail. These were the messenger birds of Bilzel. Do you like them? Without even realizing it, her mood brightened. I love them. Seeing her spirits lift, Mikhail smiled too. So, when do you plan to leave the Heim family? If you want to, we can leave right now. His eyes had already fully healed. Whisking Lilte away would be a piece of cake for him. Underage nobles aren't allowed to leave their families under Article 36. If I leave, the Heim family will just use Article 33 of Imperial Law as an excuse to drag me right back. One wrong move, and Bilzel might just become the public enemy of the entire empire. Stop looking at me with that "so what" expression. Mikhail wasn't happy about that. He had to leave after the hunting tournament. He really didn't want to leave Lilte here all by herself. But since she said it wasn't a good time to leave just yet, he respected her choice. Then I'll just assume your moving out day is set for your coming of age ceremony. Lilte nodded in agreement. I'll be waiting for that day to come. Ever since Lilte stopped giving her younger brother the time of day, Xianxia couldn't stop thinking about her. He even went out of his way to ask Lilte's maid, where did she go? Has she asked for me at all lately? The only answer he got was that the young lady hadn't mentioned him once. He was going to come of age very soon, and his father brought up the topic of finding him a partner. His oldest brother pulled out a letter. It was sent by the crown prince. In a few days, he'll be visiting the Heim estate with his younger sister. Looks like he wants to arrange a betrothal between you and Princess Ninian. Lian replied with a cold tone. I don't have anyone I'm interested in. Ninian was actually a pretty good candidate. The princess had had a crush on him since they were kids. She was also very easy to manipulate. But, compared to Ninian, Lilte Heim had always been even easier to control. Yet now, he felt like she was more distant and unfamiliar than a complete stranger. Xianxia's mind was completely consumed by thoughts of Lilte. Damn it, where did everything go wrong? Duke Heim decided to host the crown prince on the day of the hunting tournament. The hunt would take place during the day, and a grand banquet would be held in the evening. The next day, someone noted, this place really hasn't changed a bit. Lilte's second oldest brother had returned. He was quite unique among the awakened members of the Heim family. He absolutely hated the signature black hair of the Heim family, so he permanently changed his hair color. He even volunteered to be the princess's personal guard. He only came back because he heard the spirit stone was acting up. By the time the two of them reached the sanctuary, they realized the changes were far worse than they thought. Members of the Heim family usually had no trouble controlling water, even if they hadn't summoned it themselves. But now, with the water practically flooding the entire room, they shockingly couldn't control a single drop. Right at that moment, the spirit stone unleashed an even more violent surge of energy. A figure emerged from within. It was a young boy with blue hair, and he realized the person he was looking for wasn't there. Who the hell are you? Where's the one who woke me up? The newly awakened boy was furious that his contractor was missing. The others had never felt such an utterly terrifying pressure before. It was the kind of aura that only belonged to monsters or gods. Ein asked, his voice trembling. Who are you? How dare you question me first? How insolent. He swept the two of them high up into the air. I am the 10th weapon of the supreme god, Riard, and Yurn's first contractor. Therion was absolutely shocked. Yurn was the very first head of the Heim family. I am the being you call the Elf King. Now, I will ask you one more time. Where is the one who woke me? Ain immediately shouted. That child is outside. Should I bring him in right now? Unfortunately, since he had just awakened, he couldn't maintain his physical form for very long. And so, on the very next day after the hunting competition, Duke Heim, upon hearing the news, ordered everyone to keep the Elf King's awakening a strict secret. He had absolutely no intention of letting Bills find out. On the day of the hunting competition, Mikhail arrived just as promised. However, he was still wearing his eye patch. In the distance, Lion Zayas was grabbing onto Lilte, whispering who knows what. Watching that guy grab his sweetheart made Mikhail's blood boil. Just then, Duke Heim appeared, putting on a fake smile to ask how he was doing. Never better, Mikhail replied. I have a feeling this will be a highly enjoyable hunt. The Duke obviously thought Mikhail was completely blind, yet he still sarcastically wished him a good time. Mikhail just found it laughable. Duke Heim's true motives were painfully obvious. He just wanted Mikhail to stand there like a stupid puppet and get humiliated. Honestly, playing along with his little game wasn't a big deal for Mikhail. But seeing Xianxia forcefully grabbing Lilte? That was a serious eyesore. That completely changed the situation. Lilte, meanwhile, had finally managed to pull away from her younger brother. Xianxia had been acting really weird lately. Before her rebirth, he never even bothered attending the hunting competition. And he definitely never said things like, "What kind of prey do you want? I'll go catch it for you." She simply told him she didn't want anything. But Xianxia just aggressively grabbed her, refusing to let it go. Then just think of something. Feeling completely helpless, she finally gave in. "Fine, then catch me a live silver fox." A silver fox is notoriously hard to catch, but surprisingly, Xianxia just smiled when he heard that. He even promised her that he would absolutely get it done. If this had happened before she was reborn, she might have actually been happy about it. But now, she just found it incredibly annoying. "Lilte," familiar voice called out from behind her. She quickly turned her head. Mikhail was standing just a few steps away, flashing her a warm smile. Just seeing him appear, magically soothed all the irritation in her heart. Mikhail casually walked over to her side, and took a seat. "How did you know I was here? My intuition told me I'd run into you right here." But the truth was, he had actually tracked her down by following her scent. Just being next to her was enough to put him in an amazing mood. Lilte, meanwhile, was worried and asked if his eyes were recovering okay. But instead of answering, he just pointed at her wrist. There was an angry red mark right where Xianxia had grabbed her. "What about you?" he asked softly. "That must really hurt, right?" "It's nothing. I'm used to it." "Don't get used to this," he said earnestly. "Lilte, I really don't want you to ever get used to feeling pain." This was the very first time anyone had ever said something so caring to her. She was so caught off guard, she had absolutely no idea how to react. All she could do was stiffly change the subject. "So, why did you come looking for me?" In her past life, her family never even treated her like a human being because she was unawakened. Yet here was Mikhail, who had somehow managed to find her in the middle of this massive forest. And was comforting her so gently. It honestly felt so nice, just knowing that someone actually cared about her. "I'm really glad you came to find me, too." And even though Mikhail was the one who had playfully flirted with her first, that bright, beautiful smile of hers completely made him blush. He made sure to beat his rival to the punch by inviting her to dance, constantly provoking the other guy every chance he got. Xianxia definitely had some twisted, impure feelings for his own sister. And Mikhail had picked up on that sick vibe the very second he laid eyes on him. But he kept his mouth shut about it. Instead, he just went straight to find Lilte while she was alone, asking her if she was going to the banquet. After all, Xianxia had already pushed her to attend it earlier. She had wanted to avoid it, but since Mikhail was the one inviting her. "If you'll go." 99. Mikhail said happily. "I was just hoping to share a dance with you. But I don't know how to dance." "That's alright, I'll teach you. I'll see you at the banquet then." Lilte. Xianxia was in the forest searching for the silver fox. He heard a rustling sound in the distance, and as he walked over, he spotted a tuft of silver fur on the ground. When they heard he was setting out to hunt a silver fox, his older brothers were absolutely stunned, because silver foxes were practically extinct. 83. But to win Lilte's heart, he was determined to catch one. If he did, maybe, just maybe, she would go back to how she used to be. Another rustle came from afar. Perhaps it was pure luck, but he actually managed to stumble upon the silver fox. Right as he tried to creep closer, a sudden gunshot rang out. He panicked instantly, because he had sworn to catch it alive for Lilte. Thank goodness, the silver fox had only passed out, but someone else had beaten him to the prize. He furiously barked at the newcomer. "What is the meaning of this?" "Lord Bilset." Mikhail casually scooped up the silver fox. What else could it mean? To think that Xianxia, a man with perfect vision, is slower than a blind, cursed man like me. Next time, you'd better move a little faster. Otherwise, I just might snatch it from under your nose again. As the banquet drew near, Lilte sat on the edge of her bed. Beside her lay the gown Xianxia had given her. In her past life, she had never once worn a gown to a banquet. So many things had changed since her rebirth. The long hair she was forbidden from cutting short. The outdated, dreary gray dresses. It was honestly laughable, if it were the old her. But in this life, she wanted to write her own future. The post-hunt banquet was about to begin, and the princess had arrived at the duke's estate bright and early. She clung to Lian's arm. We really haven't seen each other in ages." Lian greeted her with the utmost gentlemanly grace. And thank you for gracing us with your presence, Your Highness the Crown Prince." The banquet soon kicked off, and Lian was put in charge of entertaining the princess and the crown prince. North. Not long after, his older brothers arrived, and the crown prince shifted his gaze to Ain. "I heard there was a hunting competition earlier today." "Yes, and the event concluded smoothly. The Crown Prince could tell at a glance that he was hiding something. Did something happen? He started scanning the room for Bilset's figure, because the one who had reduced Mikhail to this state was none other than the Crown Prince himself. And his true motive for coming here was to stop the Heims from curing Bilset. Seeing that Mikhail's eyes were still covered by a blindfold, and that he was leaning against the wall alone, completely avoiding the socializing, he breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed the curse was still holding strong. After all, he had gone to immense trouble to cast such a devastating curse on him. Brother, what's on your mind? Oh, nothing, North. I just think that being engaged to you is truly a disservice to Lord Lien. The princess leaned in and whispered to her brother. Lien seems to be in a foul mood today. I merely asked if his twin sister would be showing up, and his expression instantly turned so sour. Isn't Lord Lien's sister supposed to be gorgeous and look exactly like him? Even the Crown Prince knew all about it. It's exactly because of that. That's why Duke Haim utterly despises that daughter of his. She looks identical to his most beloved heir. Yet she's completely powerless. Right at that moment, a sudden commotion broke out in the hall. Someone was slowly walking down the grand staircase. The Duke's face was full of shock, while Ain kept muttering for his mother. Lilte announced, I'm so sorry I'm late, drawing gasps from everyone in the room. She's breathtaking, but she doesn't look a thing like Lord Lien. Puimin was stunned too. It's my first time seeing her in a dress like that. I know, right? And the way she carries herself. She's like the absolute perfect noble lady. Xianxia felt Lilte's transformation hit him once again. She used to always hide away, suppressing who she was. Even when they treated her terribly, she would still follow them around, desperate for just a little bit of family love. But her pathetic attempts to fit into the family only made everyone laugh at her. And so, they only grew colder towards her. But now, why is she looking at me with such freezing eyes? Why? Desperate to know why Lilte had changed, Lien reached out his hand, wanting to ask her for the first dance. But someone cut him off. Mikhail stepped smoothly in front of him. May I have the honor of this dance? Glaring at the man standing in his way, Xianxia remembered exactly what had happened in the forest. You'd better move a little faster next time, or I just might beat you to it again. His own sister didn't want him anymore. The moment that brutal truth hit Xianxia, Lilte had already chosen someone else. The bird whose wings they had broken, had finally healed. She had shattered the chains that bound her for a lifetime. There, in the center of the dance floor, Mikhail didn't hold back his praises. You look absolutely stunning today. Lilte smiled back. You look quite dashing yourself. Suddenly, she felt an intense gaze piercing her. The Crown Prince was standing just a few feet away, watching her and Mikhail with a very twisted smile. Before her regression, Lilte had studied ancient powers and potions. The assassins who broke into the Haim estate. Mikhail losing his sight to that awful curse. Along with the ancient magic that reduced people to ashes. All of those required an ancient power that belonged solely to the royal family. Wait, could the royal family be the masterminds behind all of this? She thought. If so, then the Crown Prince being here today. Is it to check if Mikhail's curse is still holding up? She cast a deeply worried glance at her dance partner. Mikhail, is it really safe for you to dance in front of everyone like this? The one who cursed you. They're right here, aren't they? Mikhail had planned to wait until everything was settled before telling her. He never expected her to be sharp enough to figure it out first. It's perfectly fine, he murmured. They're absolutely convinced I'm still blind anyway. But honestly, forget about that. Lilte, once you come of age, come away with me to Bill's. As he watched the two of them getting so close on the dance floor, Lien clenched his fists in a jealous rage. He would never, ever let Lilte leave the Haim family. Once he came of age, he would inherit the Duke's title. And then, he could tie Lilte to his side forever. As the music faded away, the princess hooked her arm around Lien's. Her brother and the Duke of Haim were busy discussing their marriage. But just as the Crown Prince announced he would send over the engagement papers, Lien suddenly spoke up to object. The expressions of the two men darkened instantly. They heard him say, I want to hold my coming-of-age ceremony first. Then, we can get engaged. The calculating Crown Prince didn't lose his temper. Instead, he smoothly smoothed things over. I completely understand where you're coming from. An engagement made before coming of age isn't exactly set in stone, is it? It seems your son is quite a thoughtful and cautious young man, Duke. The princess blushed, thinking Lien was just being protective of her. But in reality, he only wanted to seize the Duke's title as fast as possible, so he could lock Lilte up in the estate forever. After the banquet finally ended, Lilte went to the music room all by herself. This was the room where the Duke used to punish her. Over the smallest little mistakes, she would be brutally beaten and screamed at. Just like right now, the Duke had summoned her here once again. All because she dared to dance with Bills. He was demanding an explanation. Explain what, exactly? She shot back. Is there some kind of problem with me dancing with him? The Duke froze for a second, then absolutely exploded at her. You know damn well how much I despise Burse. Are you just doing this to spite me? Don't think pulling stunts like this will make me care about you. You are no member of the Heim family. I have never seen you as my daughter. But words like that, they just couldn't hurt her anymore. Well, that's just perfect. Because I've never seen you as a father, either. This was completely out of character for Leertai. After all, she had spent her entire childhood desperately trying to be a real part of the Heim family. Do you have any idea what you're saying? Just like you've emphasized time and time again, I am not a member of the Heim family. Yet you demand I fulfill the family's duty and stay away from births? She let out a mocking laugh. Don't you think that's a bit hypocritical? The Duke was completely dumbfounded. You know exactly where we are. And you still dare to speak to me like that? Of course she knew. This was the Duchess's favorite music room. It was also her discipline room. Even though she and Xianxia were born at the exact same time. The Duke blamed their mother's death entirely on her. All because she wasn't an awakener. After giving birth to 3 sons, the Duchess's body was completely exhausted. It ultimately led to her passing away right after childbirth. Was tormenting the child who caused her difficult labor supposed to be some sort of revenge for her? Was that my mother's dying wish, too? Look, if you're done yelling, I'll be taking my leave now. The Duke just stood there, frozen in place for a long time. Before his wife passed away, she had begged him to love and protect their daughter. But he had broken that promise. Instead, he stubbornly pinned all the blame onto Leertai. She's not a part of the Heim family, and she'll never be an awakener. Late that night in the annex, as the soothing water magic faded away, Mikhail's final curse was officially broken. He immediately sensed that the girl was feeling down. He gently asked her what was wrong, but Leertai just kept her head down, avoiding his eyes. I went to the discipline room this afternoon. Mikhail quickly looked her up and down. Seeing no visible injuries on her, he let out a sigh of relief. But Leertai clearly didn't want to talk about it. He decided not to push it, not wanting to make her uncomfortable. Instead, the teenage boy awkwardly tried to comfort the girl he liked. Going to the banquet must have been exhausting, right? Are you tired? If you're tired, you can lean on me and rest. But the girl just looked completely blank. Was she going to ignore him again? But to his surprise, the very next second, Leertai threw herself right into his arms. Oh crap, his heart was about to explode. He was the one who offered to comfort her with a hug, but the moment she actually pressed against him, he got so flustered his heart was practically beating out of his chest. Mikhail's handsome face instantly turned bright red. Then, a soft voice came from his chest. You know what? I told the Duke of Heim that I never even saw him as family. Was it wrong of me to do that? He hadn't expected Leertai to open up to him so willingly. Since she had, he held her small frame even tighter against him. You did the right thing. You shouldn't have to break your back trying to please people who don't even respect you. But, speaking of which, Leertai, can I ask what exactly those bastards did to you? She honestly didn't know where to start. If she had to go all the way back to the beginning, it would be when she was just a little girl, abandoned deep in the remote mountains. They left her with just barely enough food to survive, and absolutely nothing else. She survived out there all by herself. The Heim family might not have killed her outright, but they were perfectly fine tossing her somewhere out of sight to fend for herself. It wasn't until much later that they finally brought her back. And only because they needed her to boost Xianxia's powers. If it wasn't for that, she would probably live there for the rest of her life. Even though Leertai was talking about herself, it sounded like she was talking about a total stranger. There wasn't a single ripple of emotion in her eyes. Maybe it really is better for me to stay in the mountains alone. After all, living amidst pointless punishments and anger, and being constantly ignored and mocked, is just too painful. Even so, I always tried so hard to earn my family's love. I used to think, it didn't matter even if they just used me. As long as I could be a part of the Heim family. But now, I just don't care anymore. Mikhail softly called her name, and then pulled her into a tight, comforting embrace. Maybe at first, he only approached her out of curiosity. But now, he wanted Leertai to be happy from the very bottom of his heart. I swear I'll get you out of the Heim family. Leertai was still unfamiliar with this kind of warmth. But somehow, she felt comforted. Thank you, Mikhail. The man suddenly remembered something. After we leave this place, is there anything you want to do? She thought about it for a moment, and realized she actually did. I want to see the ocean at least once before I die. Mikhail pinched her soft cheek in dissatisfaction. You dummy, is your only wish really something so small? I'll make it happen for you. I swear on the name of Bills. I will absolutely come to pick you up on the day you come of age. The next day arrived, the day the Heim family was to seek an audience with the Elf King. Ein opened the grand doors, and they stepped into the sanctuary with nervous anticipation. Duke Heim never expected that the Elf King's power would be so overwhelmingly terrifying. Ein respectfully announced that they had brought the Master of the Spirit Stone. The Elf King slowly opened his piercing eyes, and glared down at Xianxia. Are you telling me, this is the brat who woke me up? Before Duke Heim could even answer, the surrounding stone statues suddenly shattered into pieces. The Elf King flew into a rage. Absolute nonsense. This guy is a fake. The entire realm began to shake violently. He is not the one who awakened me. How dare you try to fool me with a pathetic impostor? Crackling lightning surrounded him, as immense, terrifying energy condensed in the palm of his hand. I'll slaughter every last one of you. As it turned out, the master the Elf King had been desperately searching for all along, was actually Lilte. She was the reincarnation of Yurn, the very first head of the Heim family. Having awakened and failed to find his true master, the Elf King was enraged enough to annihilate them all. But just as the Duke begged for mercy, swearing they hadn't brought a fake on purpose, the Elf King decided to give them one last chance, declaring that the person he was looking for was right there in the Duke's estate. Duke Heim was completely bewildered. If Ryan, the strongest in the family, wasn't the master of the Spirit Stone, then who on earth could it be? Right at that moment, someone came to report that the Lord of Bills was preparing to leave. It hadn't even been the agreed upon 1 month yet. His guard was curious why he was leaving so early. Mikhail, cradling a white fox in his arms, smiled. Since the curse has already been broken, I need to head back and prepare to welcome Lilte home. A figure approached from a short distance away. I've come to see you off. It was Xianxia. Mikhail maintained his signature, polite smile. Young Master Ryan, thanks to the Heim family's hospitality, my time here has been quite fulfilling. Seeing the white fox in his arms, Xianxia sneered. Are you taking that pathetic thing with you too? I always take away everything that belongs to me. It was an answer loaded with a heavy implication, making Xianxia frown in displeasure. Mikhail casually bid him farewell. Well then, let's meet again next time, young Master Ryan. I'm afraid there won't be a next time. And not just for me. My sister won't be seeing you either. Mikhail turned back to him. Heim will definitely see me again. Time passed by in a flash. Mikhail has already been gone for a few months now. During this time, Lian arranged for her room to be moved here. And he always just shows up uninvited. What do you want this time? You're my one and only sister. Do I really need a reason to visit your room? Our coming-of-age ceremony is coming up soon. Is there anything you want? Tap, tap, that's your coming-of-age ceremony. Why are you asking what I want? Could you please stop staring out the window all day? Like someone who's about to leave? It ruins my mood every time I see you like that. Seeing that Lilte wasn't going to answer, he stepped closer. Don't tell me you actually want to leave the Heim family? Well, too bad, because that's impossible. You are a Heim in life, and you will be a Heim in death. Lilte clenched her fists tightly, remembering the words Mikhail had once told her. You're wrong, Xianxia. I will absolutely not repeat the same life. The Imperial Princess searched around the palace. Therion, where did you go? The very next second, the man appeared right in front of her. Were you looking for me? Why do you always turn invisible without saying a single word? Therion was coaxing the princess when he suddenly noticed something up ahead. A strange person was following right behind the crown prince. Before the princess could even finish her sentence, Therion vanished once again. The crown prince and that person made their way down to the deepest underground level of the royal palace. Hidden down here was half of the Spirit King, passed down through generations of the royal family. If he could just make her complete, he would gain all of her power. And with that, he would possess absolute imperial authority. He would never be controlled by those awakened ones ever again. He asked an attendant for a glass bottle. The royal family possessed a very special ability. The powers and curses of the awakened were completely useless against him and his purple eyes. He gathered up the black powder that was seeping off the Spirit King's body. Any living creature that came into contact with this powder would lose its mind and go completely insane. Only then did Therion reveal himself. He never expected the crown prince to be hiding another Spirit King. On the day of the coming-of-age ceremony, the Heim family still hadn't found the true master of the Spirit Stone. They brought every single awakened one in the Heim family over, but still, not a single one was a match. Therion hadn't felt the same immense power from the royal family's Spirit King as he did from the Water Spirit. He had originally planned to come back and gather some information, when Lian suddenly spoke up. What are your plans for Lilte once she comes of age? Ayn found the question strange. Lian had been paying way too much attention to Lilte lately. The Duke's face darkened. Once the coming-of-age ceremony is over, that child will be useless. So, I plan to have her leave the family. No, you can't. Please, let Lilte stay in the family. But according to the law, if Lilte demands to leave on her own accord once she's an adult, we have no legal right to keep her. But you were the one who told me Lilte was my property. And now you're telling me she has rights? Ayn was even more baffled by his strong reaction. Therion sat down without a care in the world. If she insists on leaving, why not just cripple her so she can't leave? Lian, all you have to do is break her wings. Just make sure she can never fly away from here. Late that night, Lilte appeared all alone near the temple. She needed to confirm one last thing before she left. I heard all the awakened ones have been coming here lately. Something must have happened. She had barely reached the outside of the temple, when the heavy doors suddenly opened all on their own. Inside the vast, empty temple, a young boy was floating right in the center. Lilte realized that he looked exactly like the man she saw in the final moments of her past life. Suddenly, the boy opened his eyes. Deeply familiar feeling swelled up in her chest once again. Reaching out his hand, the boy lunged straight toward Lilte. His voice was brimming with joy. "You're finally here, my master." Faced with the Spirit King calling her his master, she looked completely bewildered. "I don't remember ever making a pact with you." "We absolutely did." He simply brushed his fingers against the girl's arm, and the very next moment, a magical crest appeared on her skin. "This is the mark one engraved onto your very soul. Even if you were reborn, I would still recognize you by it. We promised each other back then, that we would definitely meet again. Lilte, you are the reincarnation of the first family head, Yurn." The boy took her hand once more. This time, he read through Lilte's memories. "The rest of this family is completely irredeemable. To think they couldn't even recognize my true master, and instead wasted all their energy on a pathetic fake. It's absolutely sickening. Lilte, if you wish, I can instantly slaughter every single person in the Heim family right now. I could even turn this entire empire to ashes." Seeing that he was absolutely not joking, Lilte hurriedly stopped him. "No, those people aren't worth you going that far. Besides, I'm leaving very soon anyway. It seems you are heading to Bill's. As much as I desperately want to leave with you, a long time ago, I split a Spirit King in two and sealed the halves away separately. If I leave, that seal will come undone." Lilte asked in confusion. "Seal?" Just then, the sound of people talking echoed from outside. She couldn't risk being caught, so she had to leave immediately. The Spirit King bid her farewell. "When the time is right, I will explain everything to you in detail. I can't stay by your side to protect you just yet, but I will always be praying for your happiness." Although he kept up a relaxed facade in front of the girl, inside, he was already burning with absolute rage. Those absolute fools in the Heim family had no idea what they had just thrown away. On the day of the coming-of-age ceremony, Xianxia forced Lilte to attend the banquet. Huimin asked him in confusion. "Why is she here too? We are twins. Of course she has to be here. After all, my coming-of-age ceremony is hers as well. But, do we really have to treat her like that? She's not a criminal, so why are we monitoring her? Well, who asked her to always get those ridiculous ideas in her head? But isn't this going a bit too far? As her family, how can we?" "Family? You must be joking. Since when did you, Huimin Heim, ever treat Lilte as family?" The crushing pressure radiating from Xianxia made Huimin flinch. He quickly backtracked and apologized, saying he had misspoken. Before running away without even looking back, Xianxia glanced over at Lilte. Amidst the crowd, her figure looked all the more isolated and lonely. That's right, this is exactly how she should be. Hiding in the dark like a shadow, and then, desperate for the light, looking only to me. The Imperial Princess stepped forward, congratulating him on coming of age. He smiled and thanked her politely. In her heart, the girl was already eagerly anticipating their engagement ceremony. But Xianxia, his mind was completely consumed by thoughts of Lilte. He really had the nerve to keep watching her like a hawk, even sending people to tail her everywhere under the pathetic excuse of protecting her. Today was her coming-of-age day as well, and today was the day of her promise with Mikhail. Just then, a guard rushed in with an urgent report. An uninvited carriage had arrived outside. It appeared to belong to the Bills family. The moment he said that, two figures strode through the massive doors. They walked straight into the very center of the banquet hall. Mikhail had arrived, just as he promised. Thank goodness. The banquet hasn't ended yet. It seems I'm not too late after all. Even though there were only two of them, their overwhelming presence immediately put everyone in the room on high alert. The Crown Prince stared in utter shock. There's no blindfold over his eyes. Wait, is his curse finally broken? Mikhail Bills, what the hell are you doing trespassing in the Heim estate? I'm just here to take back what belongs to me. Xianxia had a terrible feeling about this. Sure enough, Mikhail turned toward his older sister. I'm here to keep my promise. Lilte, come to Bills with me. Let's go see the ocean together, he said, walking toward her as if no one else was in the room. Who gave you permission to take her? A massive wall of water suddenly shot up between them. Xianxia summoned his water magic. You really think I'd let you steal her away? I'm gonna end you. The water condensed into sharp spikes and shot straight at Mikhail. But right before they hit him, an even more powerful barrier of water deflected the entire attack. Where did this power come from? Xianxia froze in pure shock. Lilte was completely surrounded by swirling water. For the very first time, she was revealing her true power to everyone. That is quite enough, Xianxia's face darkened with rage. In stark contrast, Mikhail, now being fiercely protected by the girl, looked incredibly smug. But surprisingly, Lilte walked right past him. Wait, where are you going? Before we leave for Bills, there's something I need to take care of. He gently let go of her hand. Under the watchful eyes of the stunned crowd, Lilte walked straight forward, finally stopping right in front of Duke Heim. The Duke looked absolutely terrified. That power just now, what on earth? Duke Heim, as of today, I am completely severing all ties with the Heim family. I am an adult now. You no longer have any right to interfere with my life. Counting the time from before her regression, she had been trapped in this living hell for 21 long years. It's finally over. Let's go to Bill's. Mikhail took her hand in his. And right there, with everyone watching, the two of them simply walked out of the banquet. For the first time in forever, the light had finally returned to Lilte's eyes. Clip-clop, clip-clop. The carriage rolled smoothly through the quiet forest, leaving the Heim estate far behind. When they were leaving, those pathetic fools had clung to her so desperately. Duke Heim had practically dropped to his knees to beg her to stay. But those bastards didn't deserve a woman like Lilte. She wasn't anyone's mere property. It feels so surreal. The girl's soft voice suddenly pulled Mikhail out of his thoughts. I can't believe I actually left the Heim estate. He gently brushed a stray lock of hair behind her ear. Lilte slowly turned her gaze toward him. I promise, I'm going to make you forget every awful thing you went through there. All you need to do is stay right here by my side. The carriage slowly rolled to a stop. He broke into a breathtaking, radiant smile. Lilte, are you ready? The girl nodded. As she stepped out, she finally laid eyes on the vast ocean she had dreamed of for so long. The glowing light of the setting sun danced across the water in a breathtaking display. A gentle ocean breeze softly brushed against her face. She was finally, truly free. They stayed like that until the sun completely dipped below the horizon. Even then, Lilte couldn't bear to look away from the waves. It's already gotten dark. Do you really love it that much? It's even more vast and beautiful than anything I ever read about in books. I truly love it. Thank you so much, Mikhail. I'm just so incredibly lucky to have met you. The man's face instantly flushed bright red. Extremely flustered, he awkwardly turned his head away. But it only took a moment for him to gather his racing thoughts and step right back up to her side. Lilte, ever since I went back to Bill's, I've missed you so damn much. Smiling, the girl gently reached her hand out to him. I missed you too. He caught her hand, tenderly pressing it close against his own chest. Then let's stay together forever. Next time, and the time after that, too. Let's come see the ocean together again. In stark contrast to their romantic atmosphere, the Heim Duke's mansion was in absolute ruins. Xianxia sat slumped on the floor, completely defeated. He just couldn't figure out where it all went wrong. Ever since that guy showed up, when he took the silver fox, he should have known something wasn't right. When the Bill's heir asked Lilte to dance, he should have thrown that bastard out immediately. Lian was drowning in deep regret. Suddenly, footsteps stopped right in front of him. It was Duke Heim. This coming-of-age ceremony was supposed to be the grandest event for the Heim family. But I never expected it to end up like this. Lian, did you see the magic Lilte cast? After saying that, he turned around. Come with me. I need to know what on earth happened to the Heim family. They arrived at the temple where the spirit stone was kept. So, it seems Yulin's true heir has left? You absolute fools. I'd love nothing more than to tear you all to pieces. Duke Heim begged, please. Please show us the way. What does it mean to be the master of the spirit stone? How do you interpret Yulin's dying words? The Duke answered, one day, the true master of the spirit stone will appear, awaken the stone, and bring glory back to the family. Now, let me tell you the truth. Back when the first family head, Yulon, was still alive, the gates of the spirit stone were always wide open. Spirits could freely cross into the human world. Humans who forged pacts with spirits were granted a fraction of their power. These people were known as spirit masters. But occasionally, a truly special human would be born. And these rare individuals were called awakeners. Back then, humans and spirits lived in perfect harmony. Until a spirit king fell. That was when the gates to the spirit world were sealed shut. Tyrion suddenly remembered the spirit king that the royal family had hidden away. Naturally, the awakeners lost their powers as well. The only reason the Heim family still possessed any magic was all thanks to Yulon, the very founder you all praise and worship so highly. Was exactly like Lilte, the girl you all relentlessly tormented. Duke Heim's face twisted in sheer terror. Could it be? Exactly. Tell me, how does it feel to personally kick the true successor of your beloved founder right out the door? And that precious heir of yours? He's nothing but a piece of trash who survived by leeching his own mother's life force before he was even born. After he was born, he started draining Lilte's power instead. From this day forward, I will not let you use a single drop of magic anymore. Without Lilte, there is absolutely no way you're getting the power of water from me ever again. Duke Heim burst into maniacal laughter. Only now did he realize just how horribly wrong he had been. They had to get Lilte back, no matter what. His rebellious son had brought a girl home for the very first time, and his dad was already picking out baby names. The son looked completely whipped. He might as well have had "I'm madly in love with Lilte" written right across his forehead. The girl had finally escaped the Heim family. Mikhail softly called her name. Lilte, wake up. We're here. She looked out the carriage window. Is this the famous Bill's estate? Mikhail reminded her to watch her step as she got down. Just as he was about to say something, A booming, cheerful voice rang out. I've been counting the days, and you guys are finally here. Welcome to Bill's. It was Mikhail's father, Carloman. I'm so sorry I didn't warn you about him ahead of time. She thanked the Duke for taking her in. Mikhail leaned in close to her and whispered, You really don't need to be so nervous. He's absolutely right. We're the ones who should be thanking you and rolling out the red carpet. Thank you so much for curing the eyes of the Bills family's sole heir. I hear my boy owes you quite a few favors. His warm demeanor put her at ease. You're far too kind, she murmured. Mikhail has helped me so much, too. The more Duke Kalaman looked at her, the more he adored the girl. His son's feelings for her were written all over his face. Let's head inside, the Duke smiled. I've prepared something special just for you. The room was bright, spacious, and fully furnished with everything she could possibly need. It was obvious how much care the master of the house had put into it. After the Duke escorted her there, he pushed his reluctant son out the door, telling her to rest and wait in the room. A gentle knock came at the door. After getting her permission, a maid stepped inside. My name is Melarin, she said, bowing respectfully. I will be serving you from now on. Lilte had definitely heard that name before. She was the one who had single-handedly slaughtered hundreds of people. Why would a former assassin be here serving her? She soon got her answer. Melarin calmly explained that she was there strictly to protect her. I can guarantee that no one is better at keeping you safe than I am. That's exactly why the master assigned me to care for you. Oh, I see, Lilte replied kindly. I'll be in your care, then. Let me help you change into something fresh first, Melarin suggested. Then, I'll take you to the courtyard where the master is waiting. Meanwhile, the father and son were already waiting out in the garden. Watching his son practically wagging his tail like an excited puppy, the Duke sighed. They grow up so fast, only to leave you for a girl. Isn't that how everyone is? Mikhail shot back. Father, your response is absolutely shameless. Look, she's coming. As footsteps approached, a look of absolute awe washed over Mikhail's face. Lilte stepped out in a stunning blue and white dress, greeting them with graceful elegance. I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting, she said softly. The puppy was practically bubbling with joy. He looked so utterly love-struck that his father couldn't bear to watch anymore. Son, you should offer Lilte a seat first, the Duke reminded him. Since Mikhail didn't know what flavors she liked, he had prepared a little bit of everything. But the girl just sat there, not touching a thing. Is there nothing you like? He asked gently. No, it's not that. Lilte murmured softly. It's just, this is my very first time seeing food like this. So, I don't really know how to eat it. Could you teach me? Mikhail's eyes filled with sudden heartache, but a moment later, he gave her a warm, reassuring smile. There's no rush, you can take your time to learn everything, he promised softly. I'll be right here by your side to show you. So please, don't worry. Here, this is cake. It's incredibly soft and sweet. He cut off a small piece and held it up to her lips. Lilte opened her mouth and took a tentative bite. Instantly, her eyes lit up with delight. After all, she was still just a teenager. How could she possibly resist sweets? She ended up having a wonderfully happy afternoon. Whether it was the rich chocolate or the fluffy cake, everything was a brand new experience for her. She didn't even notice how quickly time had slipped away. But just as she was following her maid back to her room, she suddenly heard a low, agonizing roar echoing through the halls. Back at her younger brother's coming-of-age ceremony, she had completely severed all ties with her family. Right in front of everyone, she unleashed her water powers and walked straight out of the Heim dukedom with Mikhail. However, barely 2 days after she left, the Heim family rallied other nobles to put heavy pressure on the Bills' estate. After all, they had just lost the strongest awakener their bloodline had ever seen. Even the Crown Prince himself stepped in to interfere. This brazen move absolutely infuriated Duke Bills. The Crown Prince would love nothing more than to see the Bills family crumble, so his meddling was entirely expected. To win over an awakener of her caliber, it wouldn't even be surprising if he proposed to the young lady, someone noted. The Duke scoffed in sheer disgust. Propose to Lilte? That's absolutely absurd. That poor child endured nothing but pure, inhuman torture while living with the Heims. Now that we've finally found the light again, how could we just stand by and watch Bills' benefactor get dragged back to hell? Aleph, you don't need to bring me these kinds of letters anymore. And pass down an order. If anyone dares to send another letter like this, break their hands. Meanwhile, the girl lay in bed, unable to fall asleep for a long time. Coming here felt like an absolute dream. There was Mikhail, who always took such gentle care of her feelings, and the surprisingly approachable Duke of Bills. She was finally starting to understand what Mellerline meant, why she called this place a warm, welcoming home for her. My lady, I truly hope this place can become that kind of sanctuary for you, too. She had once been kidnapped by a syndicate of assassins. If the Bills family hadn't completely wiped out that organization, she would still be living that cruel, hellish nightmare. Mellerline's eyes were brimming with tenderness as she looked at her. I believe you'll come to love your life here. Hearing this, Lil Tay couldn't help but wonder. How could such a gentle person become so consumed by rage in her past life that she even slaughtered members of the royal family? What could have possibly driven her to become like that? If she could just find the root cause, she should be able to stop that horrific tragedy before it ever happens. The catastrophic incident where everyone completely lost their minds. Suddenly, that terrifying roar echoed out once again. She was absolutely certain she wasn't imagining things. It was exactly the same sound she had heard out in the hallway just a moment ago. Even though Mellerline claimed she hadn't heard a single thing at the time. She originally thought it was just the roar of some wild beast. But Mellerline had assured her that there were no large beasts kept anywhere on the estate. Lil Tay peered out the window into the darkness. She made up her mind to investigate exactly what was making that noise. But to her surprise, she hadn't gone very far when she bumped straight into a guard. "My lady, what are you doing out here so late at night?" "Oh, I just couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd take a little walk." "Then allow me to escort you." "Oh, no, that's not necessary. Don't you need to keep guard here? It's no trouble at all. There are plenty of other guards hidden in the shadows. Besides, you're still unfamiliar with the estate grounds. How could I possibly let you wander around all by yourself?" He was so enthusiastically insistent that she had no choice but to agree for now. "Well, I'll leave it to you, then. Thank you so much." Lil Tay followed the direction of the sound. It should be somewhere right around here. Just when she thought she had lost the trail, she heard that terrifying sound once again. It was coming from an old clock tower. She quickly picked up her pace and hurried toward it. Standing right in front of the clock tower, just as she was about to push the heavy doors open, someone called out her name. Duke Bills had suddenly appeared right behind her. Just the night before, when the young girl had followed the sound and tried to enter the clock tower, she had coincidentally bumped into Duke Carlman, and her plan to investigate fizzled out right then and there. Even though she completely trusted Mikhail, his father was still practically a stranger to her. The Duke remained just as warm and friendly as ever. "You look like a young lady with quite a few questions on her mind. Is there something specific you'd like to know? If I ask, will you actually give me an answer?" About that, I think I have something else I can offer instead of an answer." He gently pulled out a piece of candy. Tragically, it was the very first time the girl had ever seen such a thing. I forgot to explain. This little thing is called a candy. It's quite similar to the chocolate we had earlier today. Would you like to give it a try?" Lil Tay hesitated for a second before cautiously reaching out and taking the sweet. She hadn't received many gifts in her life, so even this tiny piece of candy filled her heart with absolute joy. "Thank you so much, Your Grace." "Oh, there's no need to be so polite. You are our family's savior, after all." But, coming back to the topic at hand, it's almost midnight. Why on earth are you still wandering around outside? Lil Tay hesitated. Could she really just tell him the whole truth? The Duke likely hadn't heard the terrifying noise either, but she could still test the waters a bit. "Because I just couldn't sleep." Your Grace? And you? Were you busy with something in that mansion just now?" To her surprise, he actually averted his gaze. Yeah. He noticed the girl was staring right at him. Carlman chuckled. "Even if you look at me like that, I really don't have anything to tell you." Although he wasn't lying to Lil Tay, his underlying message was clear. He wasn't going to answer her. With that, he raised his hand and summoned a shadow guard. "It's getting late. Escort our benefactor safely back to her room." The girl could sense it. The Duke really didn't want her staying out here any longer. It seemed like he was hiding some kind of secret. The very next day, Lil Tay was taking a stroll in the garden to clear her head. Regarding what happened last night, Mellerin brought her a message. The Duke strongly suggested that she shouldn't go out for walks so late at night. She lowered her eyes, and simply replied, "I understand." Her somewhat gloomy mood was suddenly broken by a voice. It was Mikhail. "I heard you were out in the courtyard, so I came over. It seems you really like it here, huh? Well, it's so spacious out here, and it makes me feel incredibly free. Just being here puts me in a great mood." Mikhail walked over and sat down right next to her. "I'm really glad you like it here." He suddenly noticed the piece of candy in Lil Tay's hand. "Where did you get that?" "Lord Carlman gave it to me. I ran into him while I was taking a walk last night." I see. Father probably carried that around specifically to give to you. After all, in our house, besides you, no one really eats candy anymore. Lil Tay immediately picked up on the phrasing. "What do you mean, anymore?" "Well, my grandfather absolutely loved candy. Even though his health couldn't handle it, he'd always keep some on him." That's when it hit her. Ever since she arrived at the Bills estate, she hadn't seen Mikhail's grandfather at all. Wait, at this point in time, he should still be alive. He noticed the sudden shift in Lil Tay's expression. "Hey, are you okay? You suddenly look incredibly pale." "Actually, I heard this really strange sound yesterday." "What kind of sound?" "It sounded like a wild beast roaring. It seemed to be coming from right behind the main mansion." Mikhail turned his head away, lost in thought for a moment. But then, he quickly stood up. "All right, Lil Tay, on your feet." "Wait, Where are we going? Weren't you curious about what's behind the mansion? Come on, I'll show you. Melerin suddenly stepped in to block their path. You cannot do that, young master. It's far too dangerous down there. What if the young lady gets hurt? Despite being stopped, Mikhail wasn't angry in the slightest. Instead, he let out a laugh. Melerin, I appreciate your concern. But when you say it like that, it sounds an awful lot like you don't trust me. It really breaks my heart, you know? My deepest apologies. I spoke out of turn. He gently took Liltay's hand. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to her. Let's go, Liltay. With that, he led the girl toward the back of the estate. I just hope you won't be too shocked. If anything at all happens down there, make sure you stay completely hidden behind me, alright? The moment she saw what Mikhail's grandfather had become, everything clicked. She finally understood exactly why the Bills family had declared war on the royal family in her past life. And why he was so infamous for his ruthless, bloodthirsty madness. Mikhail led Liltay deeper and deeper into the underground cellar. The further down they went, the heavier the dreadful feeling in her gut became. Just what on earth is down here? Suddenly, a pair of warm arms wrapped protectively around her. You don't need to be afraid. I'm right here with you, aren't I? Right on cue, a bone-chilling, guttural roar echoed from the darkness ahead. She narrowed her eyes. In the distance, a man was chained up. Mikhail actually looked heartbroken. Say hello, Liltay. This is my grandfather, Aaron Bills. Wait, that man is the former head of the Bills family? But, how did he end up like this? My grandfather, he's suffering from madness. He was perfectly fine just a few years ago. I don't know how it came to this. And we still have no idea how to cure him. Logically speaking, anyone infected with madness should be executed on the spot. But my father just ordered them to lock him up instead. Bloodshot eyes, and fangs like a wild beast. Those symptoms triggered a memory from her past life. Back when the Bills family waged their first war, the royal family and the Heim family completely brushed off the declaration. But the moment the war broke out, they were utterly crushed. And the most terrifying figure on that battlefield was Mikhail Bills, known as the Demon of War and the Grim Reaper. Just as everyone was panicking over how invincible he was, the Crown Prince brought out a mysterious black powder. Anyone who inhaled it would turn into a mindless beast. But, the Crown Prince failed to drug Mikhail back then. Not long after that, the Water Awakeners discovered they could use their powers to flush the black powder out of the body. In her past life, the only person who possessed that powder was the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince must have used it on Aaron Bills. Suddenly, Aaron lost his mind. He let out a vicious roar and lunged straight for Liltay. Mikhail grabbed her from behind and yanked her back. He shielded her tightly in his arms. Young master, are you alright? We're so sorry, we heard a noise outside and went to check it out. We're fine. Oh, thank goodness. But, is the girl who came with you? Mikhail quickly waved his hands. Wipe that gossipy look off your faces. It's really pissing me off. Shouldn't you be paying your respects to Liltay first? It turned out these two were the servants assigned to care for Aaron Bills. The one who just spoke was Hans. The other was Andre. They owed their lives to Aaron Bills, who had taken them in. Mikhail looked down at her with genuine concern. Are you alright? You look really pale. I'm okay. I was just a little startled, that's all. But deep down, her suspicions were already forming. If the Crown Prince used the black powder on Aaron Bills, he must have done it through someone Aaron trusted. Which means, one of these two might be a traitor. Meanwhile, inside the royal palace, the Crown Prince was absolutely furious that the Bills family had snatched away the Water Awakener. He had gone as far as cursing Mikhail, even sacrificing an entire city to do it. And yet, the curse was broken just like that. A servant suddenly rushed in to announce a visitor. Which arrogant fool dares to barge in here without a proper request? The very next second, the heavy double doors were shoved open. Now, why would you call me a fool? That's crossing the line, isn't it? The Crown Prince froze in pure shock. It was Duke Carlman Bills himself. The man who had pointed a gun at his own father, only to be caught in the act by the sweetheart his son brought home. And just half a day ago, he had stormed right into the royal palace single-handedly. All to demand justice for a little girl. The Crown Prince's face twisted with rage. Duke Bills, it seems you've finally lost your damn mind. You recruit one little Water Awakener, and suddenly you think you own the place? Well, your highness, it looks to me like you're the one losing your mind over letting a Water Awakener slip through your fingers. Carlman Bills, keep up this insolence, and don't blame me when I show you no mercy. But threats like that meant absolutely nothing to Carlman. If you send me one more letter demanding I hand over that child, I promise you, I won't hold back either. If there is a next time, I won't just be breaking your messenger's hands. Please, don't force me to do something we'll both regret. Are you threatening me? How could I ever dare to threaten you? I am begging you. I hope the Bills estate never receives another letter. Watching Duke Bills come and go from the palace as he pleased, the Crown Prince was absolutely furious. Beads, it seems I need to teach this arrogant fool a lesson. Give the order. Feed my blood to Aaron Bills. After Liltay returned from the back manor, she fell into deep thought. It was painfully obvious that Mikhail's grandfather had been poisoned by someone close to him. With his immense strength and the tight security here, it would be almost impossible for a stranger to poison him. So, the 3 people he had taken in, Andre, Hans, and Mellorin, were the prime suspects. Mellorin noticed her unusual behavior. "My lady, what's wrong? You've looked terribly pale since you came back yesterday. If there's anything I can do to help, just give me the word." This couldn't be dragged out any longer. She looked at Mellorin. "Could you take me to see Duke Carlman right now?" Meanwhile, the Duke was pointing a loaded gun at his own father. "Father, I have to end your suffering today. This has dragged on for far too long." But even after a long time passed, his fingers simply wouldn't pull the trigger. The twisted, frantic face before him overlapped with fond memories. Even though he had turned into this, he still couldn't bring himself to do it. Carlman's face showed a rare, heartbreaking vulnerability. It seems today isn't the day, either. He had already noticed footsteps approaching from behind. "Because we have a little guest today." Lilte stepped forward without any hesitation. After a quick greeting, she got straight to the point. "Even though Mellorin told me I absolutely couldn't come in here, I have something I must tell you today. That's why I barged in." Unexpectedly, the Duke just gave a soft laugh. "Mellorin must have a real headache dealing with you. After all, just like she said, absolutely no one is allowed in when I'm here. Because there is something I have to tell you, before it's too late to fix it. I can cure the madness." Those words struck Carlman like a bolt of lightning. "You can cure my father?" "Yes, but because the treatment is incredibly dangerous. I don't know if you're willing to trust me." Carlman froze at first, and then he smiled. "You are our Bill's family's savior. Of course I trust you. Thank you." With that, she walked straight toward Aaron Bills. The older man immediately began to thrash around. "Lilte, don't get too close. It's dangerous." "It's okay," the girl said, as a glowing water energy gathered in her hands. A majestic power instantly filled the room. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." He thought he'd have to kill his own insane father, but this girl's sudden appearance changed everything. The soothing water energy gradually calmed the frantic Aaron Bills down. Before her rebirth, the Heim family had discovered a way to purify the black powder. As long as a water awakener injected their energy into the patient, the madness could be slowly cured. Soon, Mikhail's grandfather fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. He shouldn't have another episode today. Carlman gasped in sheer disbelief. "Can you really cure my father? This is truly incredible. Can you tell me what exactly is going on?" The former head of the house is showing symptoms of being poisoned by a black powder. If an ordinary person gets poisoned, they will first go completely insane, and then die within a few hours. But an awakener will slowly lose their mind, and become just like a wild beast. "How on earth do you know all this?" Lilte couldn't exactly say she had lived another life, so she had to spin a harmless little white lie. "I read about it in an ancient book. Also, only a very powerful water awakener can flush out this toxin. I will do everything in my power to cure him. Also, I hope you can keep this a strict secret from the servants." Ever since Lilt arrived in Bilzi, she hadn't stopped surprising him. "So, you figured it out too. The one who poisoned father is either Andre, Hans, or Mellorin." The girl nodded. "Though, we can't be entirely sure just yet. But it'd be a disaster if the spy found out." "Alright, I'll keep my mouth shut. As for treating the madness, we'll do things your way. But, I can't come down here with you every single time. And I definitely won't let you face that danger alone. I'll assign a reliable guard to watch your back." The very next day, the moment Lilt stepped into the tower, she spotted her new escort. The Duke had actually sent his own son. "Mikhail, so you're the guard the Duke sent." He gently took Lilte's hand. "Just in case things get dangerous, I'll be right here to protect you." Before beginning the treatment, she came up with a brand new approach. Rather than trying to purify him while he was completely frantic, why not try distracting him first? She pulled out a piece of candy. Just as she hoped, Elon's eyes immediately locked onto the sweet. As she tossed it into the air, he caught it right in his mouth. "Perfect, now's my chance." This seemingly ridiculous tactic worked like an absolute charm. "How in the world did you come up with that?" "Well, didn't you tell me your grandfather loved sweets?" "I figured. Even though the madness strips away his sanity, his core preferences wouldn't change. Thank goodness he settles down when he's eating his favorite treats." Mikhail had been watching her the entire time, so he knew exactly how grueling her healing process was. "It isn't easy at all. Lilt, you were already my savior to begin with.